Hello everyone out there in Flosstube land. This is Carrie. Welcome to my very first Flosstube video. My channel is Lone Star Cross Stitcher. As you can probably guess, I live in Texas. I actually live just north of Dallas in a big suburb, and just thought I would jump into the deep end and make my video. I've enjoyed watching yours and having you share your cross stitch adventures with me, and so I would like to do the same. I hope you enjoy this, and so sit back and relax and let's get started. A little background about me. I learned how to cross stitch back in the 1990s. I was a technical writer for a computer company, writing user guides and training materials and installation guides and all kinds of documentation for computer hardware and software, and was on my way, or actually in the middle of a very successful career. And so my mom would come to visit, and she'd always have a little cross stitch piece that she was working on. So I was a little restless one time when she came to visit, and long story short, she taught me the basics of making an X on a piece of fabric. And back then there wasn't a lot of variety. You bought a kit or you bought a pattern, and then usually you had Ada and maybe some linen choices, and then you bought the DMC threads to go with it. None of this over-dyed threads or fancy fabrics that we have now. So I basically am self-taught. She taught me the basics, and then I just took a couple of classes through some festivals and retreats to teach myself the specialty stitches, and also use the directions on the charts and patterns themselves. I stitch left-handed, so it's easier for me to stitch from a picture and kind of translate it backwards in my head, so I can do it with my left hand. I stitched really hot and heavy for about 5, maybe 7 years. Did a lot of pieces. Did my first full coverage piece, which at the time I didn't realize that's what it was called. Entered some pieces in the Texas State Fair, and actually won some ribbons, so I was pretty proud of myself. But then life happened, got in the way, and things changed, and I pretty much set it aside for probably 10 years. I retired in December of 2014 and decided that I would pick up my stitching again. And lo and behold, how times have changed. I know people have talked on Facebook about the differences between then and now, and I was just flabbergasted. I mean, back then we didn't even have the internet, really. We had news groups, if any of you remember those. I'm kind of dating myself here, but we all communicated that way, or we would congregate down at the local needle workshop and share notes and help each other pick out patterns and stuff like that. Today you've got the internet, you've got Facebook, you've got online stores, and I mean the number and types of charts and stitches and fabrics and floss is just incredible. It's phenomenal, and I love it. So I've been stitching pretty solidly since December of 2014. I belong to several Facebook groups and do some of the challenges that kind of give me direction and give me a little push and a sense of accomplishment. So today I would like to share with you my Maynia projects, and also start off with some of my finishes that I've done since probably the first of the year. And then again my Maynia projects, and then show you some of the other whips that I have in progress that I've worked on in the last probably 6-8 months. And then talk a little bit about my plans for the next couple of weeks and my plans for future videos. So let's get started. My first finish is Ulysses Butterfly. It was a Riolis kit, and I used the fabric and floss in the kit. It looks like a 14, 18, 16 count Ada, and then the floss came in the kit. This was an interesting piece because a lot of the blues called for 3 strands of floss, and then other ones called for 2 strands of floss. Well, I was just in a hurry and stitching right along and wanted to finish it and didn't read the directions completely, which were part English, part French, and part Russian. And so it's not completely according to the chart, but I think it looks pretty good. Next up is Whispering Winter. This was part of an impulse buy. I was at my LNS last year. We have a stitch in at that point at once a month. So I went to stitch and meet friends and took a break and was just browsing through the store, which is dangerous, as we all know. And I saw this new set of patterns that I'd never seen before, and I really haven't seen since. And so I bought all 4 of them. I'm the kind of person that if there's a series, I'm going to do the whole thing. If it's a book, I'm going to read all those books in the series, and I'm going to go back and start with the first one and go to the end. And the same with movies and TV shows. I do apologize. Excuse me. I know some of you don't like to see floss stitchers drinking, and I normally don't drink a lot, but I have 2 reasons today. This is allergy season here in Texas. We've had a lot of rain, and so pollen is just rampant everywhere, and my sinuses are draining, even with medication. And the other reason is that I live alone, and I've lived isolated and quarantined for the last 2, 3, 4, 8, 12 months, whatever that's been. And I don't talk very much. Most of my communications is online. And so my voice is a little rusty. So my throat may get a little dry, and I do apologize. I'll try and keep the drinking to a minimum. Anyway, back to my whips. Or my finishes. This is Whispering Winter. It's by Summer House Stitchworks. And again, it's, excuse me, it's part of a series. I have some of the other ones in progress that I'll show you in a little while. And it just, I used 14 count Aida, and then I used the recommended floss. These are really easy to stitch and fast to stitch up. They only take 3 or 4 DMC colors. And of course, if you're adventurous, you can always change out the colors. I'm not that creative. Next up is a piece I've been working on off and on for probably 2.5 years. Through it, I've learned that I cannot and do not like stitching on 36 count anything. My eyes are old and I really can't see that much. But this was my first foray into picking out an over-dyed or specialty fabric, as well as using the new, to me, over-dyed and specialty threads. This calls for Weeks Dye Works and Gast, and so this has taken me, like I said, about 2.5 years to finish, but here we are. It's I Belong to the Cross Stitch Nation by Heartstring Samplery, and I can't tell you what fabric this is. I bought it a long time ago and I didn't write down anywhere what this was, but I'm almost sure it's a 36 count something. And again, this was an impulse purchase at my LNS, and I really love it because I belong. It's a feeling of belonging to something. The stitching community is amazing, and I tell you, through this pandemic and lockdown and quarantining and not being able to go out of the house, it's been great because I can communicate and share and visit with people online. And last but not least is my most recent finish. I started this actually in December as part of a challenge, but I only got about 20 stitches in to meet the requirements, and then I set it aside. It's one of those, oh, I'll do it later. I'm not really, that gung-ho on it. But once the pandemic started and I got locked down and everybody was going crazy and nobody knew what was going on and nobody still knows what's going on, I picked it back up and finished it because it says a lot and it expresses my beliefs, and it also gives me a great sense of comfort. It's Faith by Lizzie Kate, and it says, faith is not knowing what the future holds, but knowing who holds the future. And this was one of her little box kits that came with the fabric, but no floss, and so I just used the recommended DMC colors for that. So those are my finishes for 2020 so far. Next up, Mania, May 2020. I decided to do a SAL Maynia this year because there's several SALs, year-long SALs that I'm working on that I'm way behind on. One of them I'm doing a January block. The first one, and the one that I've been working on the longest, is the 2017 Mystery Sampler by Linen and Threads. I don't normally do long-term projects, but this one really appealed to me, and I picked out my own colors, and a very nice person on Facebook gifted me the fabric. So here we go. I just finished the September bands, and then I'm going to wait and do the rest of them in the October, November, and December in the actual months. This is huge. I realized that purple is my new second favorite color behind blue. And the person that gave me the fabric also sent me 3 skeins of the DMC, 52 variegated floss. And so I've mixed that in with DMC 209 and 550, some shades of purple. And then I use the accents of 501 for the dark green and 415 for the gray. So, and it's a challenge every month to figure out, what colors I'm going to use in the pattern. It's very different from what I'm used to. I have to create this all on my own. So it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's been a challenge, but it's been fun. So there's that. Next up is the 2020 Linen and Threads Mystery Sampler. I didn't do the 2018 or 2019 for various reasons. I've seen them, people post them online, and they're beautiful, but their themes just did not appeal to me. But the 2020 is more of a Quaker style. It's a family and friends motif, and I thought, yes, I'm going to do this one. So here we are. I have finished February. It's on scroll rod, so here we go. Hopefully I can unroll this correctly. And let me check my notes. This is on a 28 count Lugana by Picture This Plus. I'm not sure what color it is. I'm part of their Fabric of the Month Club this year, and this is one of the ones that they sent early in the year, I think. And I'm just using, I was initially going to do this all in one color, but I did the first motif, and I just thought, well, that's a little stark with the dark brown. So I added some of the gold and some of the green and some of the lighter brown as kind of accents. I don't want to have a whole lot of different colors, but just, a little variety. So there's that. And my last SAL is, pardon the crinkling fabric and back. It's Year of Bouquets by Carolyn Manning. It's a series of 12 that you can do either individually or all together. I decided to do it all together and then have a huge wall hanging. So if I can get this oriented. This is January. As you can tell, I'm way behind. I did the border for the frame first, and then I centered the fabric, the bouquet in the middle, and found out that, lo and behold, I can't count. So I'm 67 years old, and you'd think I could be able to count, but obviously not. So I frogged out half the border, and I may have to do the rest of it, but I'm going to finish the bouquet first and then go from there. This is on a 32 count graceful gray that I got from my LNS. I'm not sure who made this. And I'm using the recommended DMC colors from her pattern. And I've seen the other months so far, and they are just gorgeous. And I just enjoy the variety of this. It's not a scene. It's not a landscape, you know, like some of the other ones I've been working on. It's just flowers, and it's very pretty. So thank you, Carolyn, for this. She has some amazing other pieces. I mean, she's got a whole series, several series of really cool pictures. So thank you for that, Carolyn. And that's the 3 that I'm going to be working on. I finished the 2 linen and thread samplers, reached my goals, and I'll be working on Year of Threads. How funny. Year of Bouquets this week. And then next week I just decided to spin my decision wheel and play and not have any real goals or objectives to get done. Just stitch on what I want to stitch on for a change. So that's it for SAL Maynia. I'm now going to show you some of the whips that I've been working on. I made a spreadsheet at the beginning of the year just to kind of start keeping track of my charts and counting everything that I have started from 1996 on up to now. I had, at that point in January, 37 whips. Again, some of these were ones that I had started back in 1996. Several are band samplers, and I just kind of got bored with those or frustrated and set them aside. And then some of the ones are brand new that I started in December. And so we'll see. So let me show you what I've been working on recently. I tell you, this pandemic has really increased my cross-stitching output. I mean, I'm kind of a homebody. Like I said, I'm retired, so I don't go out and do a lot of things. I don't have a lot of responsibilities. I don't have kids or pets, so I don't have a lot of claims on my time. But for me, just the psychological burden, I guess, of not being able to go out. I have 2 of the risk factors, so everybody says, you stay home, we'll take care of you. And I have a friend that does my grocery shopping, and my brother offers to help, and I do a lot of online stuff as well. So thank you, Kroger, for your pickup service. I can just drive in, and they'll put it in my car, and I can bring it home. Anyway, here's what I've been working on lately. This first one is a kit by Verbaco, I'm not sure exactly. It's a foreign manufacturer, and it's the face of Jesus. So here's the photograph of the completed chart. And here's where I am on it today. I worked on this over the weekend a little bit. Here's where I am. It's a bit of a challenge because there's several different dark colors, so I have to pay attention to the chart, and they're all mixed in, but it's going to be beautiful because it gives it such a shading and such a texture to it. Almost makes it 3-dimensional. Next up, I have another one of the Summer House Stitchworks charts series that I told you about. This is Gentle Spring. And again, I'm just using 14 count Aida and the recommended colors. This has 3 colors in it. I have a few of the flowers on the top, and I'll be finished. But like I said, these are fun, and these are kind of different because they're small. Next up, we have footprints. I bought this chart off of one of the Stash Unload sites last year, maybe the year before. I don't remember exactly. And it was a kit, and it came with the fabric. It's a Floba fabric, sorry, my eyes are old. It's a 18 count Floba fabric, whatever that is. It's kind of a really thick Aida kind of, but it's really easy to stitch on. The catch is when you're doing the back stitch with one, your threads kind of fall into the fabric and they either disappear or fall out completely. Anyway, here's the picture of the chart. It's the one where the speaker is walking along the beach with Jesus, and he says, well, I see 2 sets of footprints, and in some places I see 1. And Jesus said, well, where you see 1 is when I carried you. And that poem has always meant a lot to me, because it expresses my spiritual beliefs. And let's see. I'm sorry, I had all these out, and then I put them away last night. So again, this one's kind of long. And I'm down to the very bottom and doing the beach scene. And I got really frustrated the last time I worked on it. This little piece right here, this is the 3rd time I've stitched that, and it goes on. For some reason, I can't count and stitch in the diagonal at the same time. Oh well. This is not a race. And here's the 3rd one of the Summer House Stitchwork series. This is Resplendent Autumn. And again, 14 count Aida recommended colors. I'm almost finished with this one. I just have a few flowers to put down here and tie all that together, and I'll be done. Do you sense a theme here? I've got these 4 with the seasons, and then I've got the year of bouquets. So maybe I like flowers. Let's see. My next piece is one that I bought from Market. A lot of you are stitching this or have stitched this. It's called Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House. And I ordered it originally, back in the spring before all this pandemic stuff started, just because it expresses how I feel about cross-stitching when I first started and even now. And now that the pandemic has started and everybody's locked away in their own little houses and nobody knows what's going on and nobody knows what the future's going to be, it's even more relevant. It says, when the world seems to be out of control, I find a way to nurture my soul. Seeking refuge with needle and thread, the angst and anxiety no longer I dread. And stitching for me has always been a form of relaxation and therapy. I can focus on it, and the rest of the world just seems to fade away. I can watch TV or listen to audiobooks while I'm stitching, but the bigger things in life just kind of go away. And I just love it. I haven't gotten a lot done on this, but it's a very complicated piece. I've done the door and part of the house. And I'm using, pardon me while I check my notes, if I can find my notes. Well, my notes seem to have disappeared. Anyway, I'm using the recommended floss colors, specialty threads, and some of the DMC. So there's that. And last up, excuse me, we have Hope Quaker Style by Ori TM. I hope I'm saying her name right. This was another sort of impulse buy at my LNS. last year, since I haven't been this year because they close everything in March. And I've never really, excuse me, been attracted to the Quaker style with the motifs and the different, well, the lack of colors. But this one really just kind of spoke to me, and I thought, well, I'll just buy it and do something different. You know, it's not in my normal bag of themes. I like to do Native American stuff. My living room is mainly Native American, Indian, Southwestern themed stuff. And I like to do pictures of things and landscapes. But this one just kind of, well, it's something different. So kind of stepping out of my comfort zone in a way. And so I tried it, and I am really enjoying this. I'm stitching this on 32 count antique white YT brand that I got at my LNS when I bought the chart. And here's where I am. It's kind of similar to the linen and thread sampler for 2020. It's got some of this, I'm seeing some of the same motifs, but this of course is a lot much larger. And this one you see the whole picture. Where the linen and thread, you're going to have to wait, and you only see a little bit at a time. I'm using the recommended colors. They are all Gentle Arts. And just as a clue, there's 8 skeins of the onyx from Gentle Arts, which is the majority of the piece. You can use 310. They list 310 as the DMC equivalent. And then the other ones are used. There's Piney Woods, Brandy, Roasted Marshmallow, and Picnic Basket. I'll pull these out and show them to you. Aren't those pretty? They use the lighter colors for accents. And so this, of course, is the onyx. But I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it's something completely different, out of my comfort zone. But I'm liking it. And that seems to be it for now. I know this is about almost 30 minutes. It's a little shorter than most videos. A lot of people run on talk for an hour. Hopefully, as I get better and stitch more, I'll have more to show you and longer to chat. So thank you very much for watching. Oh, my plans for the videos. I would like to do a weekly video. It may be 30 minutes, it may be an hour, depending on how much I get stitched during the week. But I do stitch a lot, and especially if I have a challenge to meet. I'm in several Facebook groups, and it seems like all of them have either a SAL or a challenge or a month-long contest, you know, something to guide your stitching. And then Jen Lee at 24 Hours of Cross Stitch has a monthly cross stick and monthly holiday chart that she puts out. So that kind of guides my stitching as well. So, hey Jen, if you watch this, I really enjoy all of my 24 Hours of Cross Stitch events and charts. Anyway, I would like to do a weekly video. Like I said, I do stitch a lot, so hopefully I'll have more to show you. And maybe next week or the week after, I can kind of give you a tour and show you what pieces I have finished in the distant past. Some of the ones that I won ribbons on and some ones I didn't. And then some of the whips that are kind of languishing. I guess they're UFOs, unfinished objects. But anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate your visiting with me today. If you'd like, of course, the usual blurb about the subscribe button at the bottom. Hit that and then hit the little bell and you'll get a notification when I post next time. So have a blessed day and I'll see you soon. Bye.